Alright, today on our journey to review every series on the Funimation catalog, we will be returning to the mech genre, as we figure out whether AMAIM is worth watching. AMAIM tells the story of Amo, a 16-year-old orphan who lives in a future Japan, a Japan that was ravaged by complete economic collapse and failing birth rates. But when the other countries came in to support Japan, they decided to put down roots and take over Japan. The four forces that now occupy Japan are the North American Coalition, aka the United States of America, the Confederation of Oceania, Asia's Free Trade Entente, aka China, and the Federation of Eurasia. These four forces use unmanned mechs to fight the border wars to keep control of their territory, which both further ravages Japan and leads to the Japanese being considered second-class citizens. But Amo stumbles upon a AI unit who helps soup up the mech he was working on as a side project. But when the Oceania forces intervene, looking to arrest Amo as a terrorist, Amo and the AI guy must team up to pilot the new mech, leading to Amo eventually teaming up with Yagagaratsu, a resistant force hoping to help the Japanese citizen and maybe even free Japan from the forces that occupy it. The potential elephant in the room with this premise is the potential pro-nationalist viewpoint of this premise, as one could argue that this series is saying that the conflict of the series comes from trusting foreign countries, that if we let them in, they'll try and take over Japan. So given the current issue Japan is facing with extreme right-wingers wanting to beef up the military, deny and downplay war crimes, and hating foreign and mixed-blood citizens, this might not be the vibe you want to give off. But to be fair though, there is a real history of major world powers promising assistance only to result in them putting down roots. So that might be the reason for this choice, but I'm not a history major, so don't look to me for an answer on that. Either way, the writing of the antagonist force is subpar, as the one-off villains are mainly either war crime McRhymes or overly aggressive I need my honor as a warrior types, with a coat of paint for their uniforms to tell you which force they're with. Not that it makes any of them feel distinctive. You could change their colors and what mechs they pilot, and nothing you note would really change. You would think that with four different forces, there would be, a different approach to running their territories. How do they approach their relationship with the Japanese people? Do they want to change the culture? What about their approach to rebuilding Japan? Or their strategies when it comes to mech fights? The one that really gets any major build is the NAC, with an officer with an exception with the Ghost AI and a general working with an entrepreneur in the war industry taking part in some war profiteering as our major antagonist. Neither are all that interesting, so in my opinion, the world building for the series is rather subpar. I also have some issues with his characters. One of the three main pilots, Shion, is definitely on the bland side, for no real reason, as Shion's big thing is that she wants to bring back Japanese pottery, as that was what her family did before the border wars, but that was shut down during and after the war. But this could be a great option to build upon, as we can use her to help build upon how the various forces treat Japanese culture. Like we can tease of, will she retire if she goes to a region that's less strict on it? Or maybe she can lead the forces to try and help a citizen or a group that's trying to preserve the culture of the past. From War Crimes McRhymes having to burn out the orphanage for gifted artists to build their third mansion or something. But she's really only there to help make up the trio. She's friendly, she wants to help her friends, and supports the protagonist, but is rather basic personality-wise. Almost another issue in the second half, as he's depressed and sticks to himself because he's now willing to kill. But he's all fine now because a baby he saw wasn't scared of him. Sure, I guess that'll solve complicated mental issues. Who needs therapy when you have a baby smile? Like, I get he needs some form of story to return to the group after the first half, but I don't know. I get it makes sense as he started as just some kid off the street. Now he has to become a full-time soldier, and struggling with that will lead to some form of growth. But it just didn't feel like the depression was taken all that seriously. Reveal the reason why it exists and resolve it within the next episode. But there had to be some better way that you could do this. Maybe tie this arc in with Gashin, who's just finished his arc from the first half. But let's talk about strengths. One great storyline in the first half is the Ghost Mech, a non-man, self-learning, AI-controlled mech that will fight anyone and everyone, leading to it becoming stronger and stronger, meaning more and more mechs are needed to try and beat it, or at least force it to retreat. But the mech doesn't care about those that are in the way or the destruction it will cause in its fights. All it cares about is growing stronger. We see it several times. Fighting our heroes early on, we learn it's attacking all four forces. It even escapes an attempt by the NAC to capture it, and it serves as the final boss in the first half. Additionally, Gashin's father was killed by Ghost, so a big drive for him in the first half is to get his revenge by slaying the powerful Mech, which is a decent storyline to put into his cap. You could have done more with him in the second half, but it's something at least. On top of this, the actual fights are actually well animated and storyboarded. We got guns, we got giant melee weapons like swords and spears, and some actual strategies to vary out the fights. So in conclusion, if you're looking for mech fights, then this series has something for you. But I don't feel the world, the characters, and the message of the series is all that interesting. So the question for you, dear viewers, is what you want from a mech series. Are solid fights enough of a main course for you, even if the sides and dressings are on the weaker side? Or do you need that dressing and sides to be on par with the main course?